Today we are looking at Chicago's wealthy elite. In particular, many of the upper crust ladies are into collecting shiny rocks, the rare, expensive kind.
November 12th, 11:20 p.m. Rhonda June Marquet, real name Adele Saperstein, was coming home after an unusually successful day. Miss Marquet was chairman of the board of Maison de Marquet Incorporated, manufacturers of the famous Rhonda June brassiere line, a longtime bulwark of the garment industry serving women from 8 to 80. She designed her first bra in '44 when she was an aircraft worker in Glendale.
Cool, that's how you do it. See a need and come up with a way to fill it. What that really means is she's been a grunt worker. She knows what it's like down there in the trenches. And now that she has money, she wants nothing to do with those uncultured ruffians. Hence the name change and all the rest.
Miss Marquet had a well-known proclivity for fine gems and was reputed to have some of the biggest diamonds in Chicago.
I've never understood that. What good are they? What are they useful for? She can wear one around her neck or on her finger and say, "See me, I'm rich." Whoopee. Some time ago, my family helped a homeless couple get into a decent apartment and get a good, reliable car. If I ever came into some real money, they would never have to worry about their finances again. Because I know what homelessness is like. My wife and I have been there. I would bet the former Ms. Saperstein has too. The difference is in how we respond when we manage to get back on our feet. Some people tell the homeless, "I've been there. Let me see what I can do." Other people tell them, "I've been there and you're nothing but riffraff to me now because I'm up here and you're down there." It's not hard to tell which one she goes with. And she's not happy. Her face tells me that. That's why she always wants more. But she won't have to worry about such things much longer. Okay, Tut, okay, we get the idea you have an urgent message from ISIS. Part of it better say she's covering the cost of that window. I stand corrected, that's not Tut. I wish I could have met Richard Kiel. He seems like such an interesting person. One of the most fascinating things about him is his ability to convey everything he needs to without saying a word. Think about it. As Jaws, he spoke exactly once the last time we saw him. As Ega, he mumbled gibberish. Everything was conveyed by his gestures and expressions. It's no different here. This guy, or whatever he is, doesn't talk, but there's no mistaking what he has to say. What good did all that wealth do her? That's why I hold on to things very tenuously and like to share what I have. If I get hit by a truck, it doesn't matter what I own or how much I have in the bank. I've already had one heart attack. My dad didn't live to be as old as I am now, and he was the strong, healthy one in the family. You don't know when your number is going to be called. Somebody is going to be fighting over this lady's estate, and all that wealth and jewelry and self-indulgence will cause never-ending strife in her family, assuming she has one. If she doesn't, most of it will go to the state, and they can finally balance their budget.
November 13th, 1:30 a.m. Lucy LaPont Addison, the reigning queen of what was left of Chicago's old society, was returning home after an opera opening. She supplied the opera house. Lucy Addison had accumulated fortunes like she accumulated husbands. Friends referred to her as the Steel Butterfly.
Once she's mesmerized and takes off that ridiculous bracelet she's wearing, the coyote changes back to human form, kills the lady, and leaves with the bracelet.
In both cases, the police department ruled death by suicide, and I was calmly explaining to Vincenzo that I thought they had drawn a rather hasty conclusion.
Yes, but why?
Why? 2 deaths in 2 days, 2 of Chicago's wealthiest women.
Coincidence, purely coincidence.
Yeah, well, then tell me this. Why are the police being so tight-lipped about it, huh? Tell me that.
Kolchak, these women were very influential, very wealthy. They left behind financial dynasties which didn't want their good names dragged through the newspapers. Suicide is a very ugly word.
Yeah, and so is murder.
He's arguing that these women had no reason to commit suicide. Both had major deals coming up, and they were both excited about the future. Kolchak will get some backing from an unexpected source.
Well, Carl has a point, you know, Mr. Vincenzo.
What point?
Neither of these women fit the suicide profile according to the Swedish studies.
Really?
They weren't chronically depressed. They hadn't had a recent shock. They weren't terminating any relationships. As a matter of fact, they both had immediate goals they were looking forward to.
You get the feeling when she's not working on the puzzle page, she reads a lot. Even so, Tony won't give Carl the assignment. He still doesn't think there's a story there. Updike just got back from both funerals, and he's ready to get back to his current project.
Did you know that there's a brand new high-rise downtown and they've only been able to lease the first 5 floors? I'm going to call it High-Rise Investments Take a Plunge.
Tony, you cannot believe that these women committed suicide.
Carl, let me tell you something. Even if there was a story in this, I wouldn't assign you to cover it.
Why not?
Well, because you don't have any tact. You don't have any rapport with society. Well, just look at yourself. Even if I send you there to interview them, I'm sure they wouldn't even let you inside their door.
Carl Kolchak, reporter to the wealthy elite. Don't forget your hat. He's not about to let a thing like being a slob keep him from this story.
Okay.
What's okay?
Okay. If clothes make the reporter around here, then Carl Kolchak can play that game, too.
Where are you going?
I am taking the rest of the afternoon off. I am going out and buying myself some new clothes, okay?
Finally!
Miss Emily gets the prize for best line of the episode. And if you think he's going to get to a clothing store and buy something, it's possible you haven't been paying attention.
Code 3. In the vicinity of State and 4th. Proceed to 732 State Street. Code 3.
November 16th, 6:05 p.m. Police from 3 divisions of Chicago's finest responded to a 211 had surrounded the city's most prestigious gem exchange.
A 211 is a burglary in progress. A code 3 means use your lights and siren. A gem exchange means lots of expensive baubles for an enterprising young whatever he is to steal.
The safe's been ripped open and there's diamonds all over the floor, Captain. You stay right there. You make sure nobody touches them. What are you waiting for? Let him go.
His behavior says the thief is still in the building. The dog heads upstairs, but what they're hearing doesn't sound good.
All right, Sonny, let's go. Get out of here, Kolchak!
Well, doggone. I always hate to see an innocent dog get hurt in these things. Someone will accuse me of caring more about the dog than I do about those 2 rich women. They're probably right.
Freeze!
Those cops took their weapon training from the Imperial Stormtrooper Academy. There's no way all of those shots missed, but he wasn't fazed. He heads to the roof. A few years later, David Copperfield paid him a fortune to teach him that trick. Our captain is Ramon Beery. He was a major character actor, so much so that if you've ever watched any series from the 70s or 80s, you've probably seen him at least once. He'll be back, too. In the 17th episode, he'll play a different captain. Probably the same attitude about Kolchak, though. The only thing missing from the vault is one expensive sapphire. This guy is taking the cream and leaving the everyday crap. Where's he putting it? He's putting it in a precarious spot. Might want to pick that up, Mr. Crow. A good gust of wind could blow it right off there.
It is our conclusion, then, that the robber, or robbers, created considerable disturbance. They stole the sapphire, and in the ensuing confusion, the guards shot each other.
Captain.
Yes, Mr. Kolchak.
Did I hear you say that those guards shot each other precisely in the heart?
While standing right next to each other where it was easy to see who it was. That's lame.
Just how did this man actually escape?
We assume that the man that we're looking for has experience as a high-wire aerialist, trapeze artist, or acrobat.
A trapeze artist 8 feet tall? And I suppose his dog belonged to a circus, too, huh?
Dog? What dog?
The dog that killed the police dog.
Kolchak, you disrupt this conference and I'll have you physically ejected.
Hey, but Captain, you haven't answered the question. How do you explain the dog?
Yeah, what about the dog?
That matter is under investigation, but there are a couple of possibilities.
Such as there was no dog, or the dog slipped out while they were chasing the man. A dog big enough and vicious enough to kill a police dog and nobody saw it slip out. Just then, the captain gets the ballistics report on the bullets that killed the 2 guards.
This conference is over.
Is that the ballistics report, Captain?
No further questions. I'm sorry, fellas, not at this time. Please, no more comments.
Whatever you do, don't act suspiciously, Captain. If you pretend everything's normal, they won't catch on that there's something big in that report. Kolchak being Kolchak, he's not about to take that for an answer. He manages to slip into the squad room, find an empty desk, and call ballistics, pretending to be the guy who belongs to the desk.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think you guys would go for that. Listen, we examined those slugs 6 times. It's no mistake.
Are you sure?
Listen, Tackwood, I'm telling you, each guard was killed with a bullet from his own gun.
What?
Yes. Hey, who is this?
He'll slip out before he's caught, don't worry. But it's no wonder the captain went ballistic. Kolchak has a friend who's an ex-con, now a barber. He was a gem cutter in his heyday, and he still has his ear to the ground about such things.
Oh, the Brazil thing?
Yeah.
350 carats?
Yes, 350 carats.
Ain't seen or heard of it.
None of the items are appearing on any markets, legitimate or otherwise. Albert figures they're dealing with a collector. He's not interested in their money value. He wants to own them. So he's just like the people he stole them from, greedy and selfish.
Congratulations. You finally got one in focus.
Give me that.
Dead dog that's pretty important, huh?
Yeah, well, you can tell the difference between a dog and a cat. That correspondence school is doing wonders for you. Couldn't you get any bigger?
Not without losing quality. Quality. I could have shot that better with a shoebox and a pinhole. To think I stayed here all night to develop that.
Why don't you stay a little longer and develop a personality?
Who's this kid? Kolchak needs to fire him and go back to developing his own pictures like he usually does. He doesn't need that kind of abuse from this snot-nosed brat. He can get it much better from Tony. Armed with his photo, he heads to a guard dog training facility and asks what kind of dog made those paw prints.
Oh, you wait right here.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, it's German. They seem to like it better. Told him to keep you company.
Oh.
What he really said was sit there, or as we would say in American, stay. I see no reason why Kolchak needs to know that.
By Mr. Shea?
Okay, he doesn't like the Andrews sisters. And besides, that's Yiddish, not German.
Das ist ein gut Mann?
Yes, he's a good dog, but I don't think he believes it when you say it.
What do you take me for?
I beg your pardon?
These aren't the tracks of a dog.
What do you mean?
They belong to a coyote.
Coyote?
He saw what he calls an 8-foot-tall Indian, which is just wrong. Richard Kiel was only 7'2". It's taken him this long to go ask some Native Americans if they have any information that can pull all this together.
Dr. Temple?
Yes.
My name's Carl Kolchak. I'm the Independent News Service. I'll get right to the point, if you promise not to laugh. I'm looking for a man who's masquerading as an Indian and runs around with a coyote.
A boy and his dog. Oh, I love that kind of story.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't tell this story to my children at bedtime if I were you. The man that I'm seeking has killed 4 people over the past week.
If you don't recognize Alice Ghostly, I assume you're about 6 years old. The first thing he needs to know is what tribe or people this guy is from, and you couldn't fill a thimble with what he knows about such things. Good thing she has plenty of visual exhibits for him to study.
Do you see anything here that looks familiar?
No. Nope. Ta-ha! Yeah, that one over there. Yeah. I remember the snake skin and the bone thing.
How odd.
Why odd?
Well, how utterly odd that you should pick that one from all the others.
Why?
This is the sorcery costume of the Diablero, a strange figure that occurs and reoccurs throughout southwestern Indian lore.
I know Diablo is devil, so a Diablero would be a deviler? As far as I've been able to find, the Puebloans didn't believe in an actual Satan-like being, but if certain rituals weren't carried out or weren't done properly, the Kachina spirits might hold back the rain or otherwise show their displeasure. They were just very into their own PR. By contrast, a Diablero was an evil person who practiced the kind of dark sorcery she described. If she didn't know better, she'd swear that's what he saw.
November 17, 3 p.m. About the time I was leaving the museum, Mrs. Charlotte Elaine Van Piet was returning home from an afternoon bridge game with the girls. She had made 2 grand slams and she was happy, which was good because it was the last game she would ever play.
She and the chauffeur both died from broken necks. Her pearl necklace is missing. I was wondering why he only picks on rich old ladies, but then I realized they're the ones that wear the expensive baubles. And using your hypnosis to charm the baubles off someone is way easier than having to take a bunch of courses in safe cracking. Killing them seems a little over the top, though. It's not like they're going to testify against you. Kolchak knows there's a gem auction coming up. It's top secret, by invitation only, and you can bet Updike knows when and where it'll be. The process of getting that information out of him involves Miss Emily and 2 payphones, and it's too funny for words. I'm not going to spoil it for you. Let's head to the auction.
I'm telling you that it is in the glove compartment of the Bentley, and the Bentley...
What seems to be the problem?
See, are you the auctioneer here, Mr. Beloy? Beloy, yes. Are you any relation to Roger Beloy of the Bar Harbor Beloy? No, I didn't think you were. Well, I appreciate security, Mr. Beloy, as much as the next person. But I must say that simply because I don't have your invitation on my person, I find it rather insulting to have your guards humiliate me.
And your name is, sir?
Colworth. Carl Colworth.
I like how he can do an upper crust snob accent when he needs to. Our man doesn't buy the act, and they tell him to get lost. Especially after those guards frisk him and find out who he really is.
Auction at this time. Those of you who intend to bid on the large precious stones, please go with Mr. Beloit in the Georgian room. Those who wish to participate in the jade and pearl sale, please follow me.
He knows if our Diablero is going to hit the place, he'll hit the high-end gems in the room where Mr. Beloit is. He's having a hard time seeing through the crack in the door.
Must have been a bird. They hit this building all the time.
How many of them crash right through the window and then squawk at you like it's your fault?
Freeze!
Oh, the captain is going to love this one. He'll harass Kolchak for a while, but he knows he's got nothing except what sounds like some drunk's hallucination. He also has 4 more dead people and no explanation. Somehow that has to be Kolchak's fault. While they were playing I Don't Like Your Answer, So Give It To Me Again, Miss Emily left a message. Dr. Temple wants to see him right away.
Mr. Kolchak, this is Charles Rolling Thunder.
How do you do?
Charles lives with his family here in Chicago, and I told him how you were talking about the Diablero, and, well, now, mind you, I don't believe any of this. But Charles insisted that I get in touch with you.
Yes, it is important, Mr. Kolchak, that we talk. You've been saying some very, very serious things. Now, if you are telling the truth, you should be armed. Mr. Kolchak says he has seen a Diablero.
He didn't just see one, it tried to kill him.
I must ask you, Mr. Kolchak, how did you escape the Diablero's spell?
Well, I wish I knew. I don't know. Well, I took a picture.
Did you use a flash?
Oh, yes, sure.
The burst of light.
Oh, well, listen, a flash can smart, but it's not going to harm that gargantua that I saw.
To the Diablero, the eyes are everything. Through his sorcery, through his eyes, he can stop the world, as he calls it. He changes reality, making his enemies helpless. But that light from the flash blinded him, made his eyes useless.
That's why he changed and ran away. He couldn't use his strongest weapon.
Tell me, how would I...
How do you kill a Diablero?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Well, since earliest times it was said, a Diablero cannot live with the sight of his own gaze. Nothing more, nothing less will kill it.
A mirror. That's all it takes. And there's more. Mr. Rolling Thunder can tell him about this specific Diablero.
We have heard in our lore of the Diablero that you describe. He lived for years under a curse roaming near and far.
Well, what kind of a curse?
A curse to acquire a treasure. You see, this Diablero was an ancient sorcerer among the cliff dwellers.
The cliff dwellers, the Yakis,
Yushoni.
Yushoni, they lived in holes in the wall in Pueblos.
Yes, and he dared to steal the ritual treasure which belongs to the gods alone. And for his greed, he was put under a curse.
As I said before, if you cross the Kachinas, they can tend to throw a temper tantrum.
A curse to build an eternal treasure before he could cross the river of the 7 winds.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rolling Thunder.
And what constitutes an eternal treasure? I suspect our Diablero doesn't know, so he's just gathering everything he can get his hands on and hoping eventually it's enough. Thing is, now Kolchak even has an idea where to find our creature. That high-rise story Updike was working on? Yeah, the developers got the thing built, then went bankrupt and have only filled the bottom 5 floors with tenants. Everything above that is empty. What better place for a cliff dweller to feel at home?
What floor do you want?
The roof.
The elevator only goes to the 5th floor.
I'll walk.
40 floors?
How many?
40.
I'm used to it.
This part is predictable and not especially interesting. We know he's going to be so exhausted by the time he reaches the top, he may not be able to lift his own head, much less a mirror. It works better as padding than as comedy relief. He'll find what he's looking for behind door number 39. It's not 40 because a lot of these buildings didn't have 13th floors. Bad luck, you know. I wish I was making that up. That has to be our guy, but the way the sound is echoing, it's hard to pinpoint where he is. Music historians will try to tell you that E-I-E-I-O is a nonsense line, just some syllables to make the song fun. Now we know it's really a magic Diablero incantation, and we'll think twice before we sing that song out loud again. No, you're supposed to show it to him. How much of his own gaze does he need to see? Is this enough? At least he can keep him off balance with his flash. never mind. That's correct. He's been running around the ritzier parts of Chicago, breaking into elite homes and all the rest, and has yet to encounter a single mirror. Until now. And now we know the Diablero's name was Dorian Gray. As usual, Kolchak doesn't have a story he can print, but he does have the feather as a souvenir. The producers enjoyed Richard Kiel's performance so much they asked him to come back the following week and play a different monster. It would be another 3 years before he clinched his fame as Jaws in The Spy Who Loved Me, but wherever he went, people noticed. And I'm sure we'll notice next time when we get to see him again. Isis. Is she okay? And his fascinating things about him is his ability. I can say fascinating. Both had major come on, voice. All of those shots, Fizz. But come on. He's putting it in a killing them seems a little